everyone, welcome back to John Battle Reviews. When it comes to DreamWorks Animation, this year must be their next downgrade compared to what happened last year, where we had two amazing anime films that I personally enjoyed. For this year, things seem to be facing a little bit downgrade. Despite the success of last year, DreamWorks had to lay off 33 employees to reduce costs, and along with two anime films that will not be as good or great as the previous two I mentioned, like the one I'll be talking about and the sequel to one of their most popular franchises of the 2010 decade. But for now, for this review, I'm here to talk about RWBY, Gillman, Teenage Kraken. Before this was even out, many have stated that it borrows some elements, like from the themes and visuals, like there's the Little Mermaid turning red and Luca. But after giving this a watch, how did I feel about this? Well, let's see. So this story is about a sea creature, mostly Kraken, trying to fit into a middle high school in order to feel like he belongs despite differences in the world of humans. From this story alone, it's not that original. However, there are a few twists that make up for it. For instance, like how this is mostly a parody. This film tries to subvert the notion that mermaids are monsters compared to the sea creatures, or in this case the Krakens, and that's quite a subversion DreamWorks really did. Like, it's not their only time they satirize Disney. Bring up the parody example in B movie. You know that little brief moment where Barry orders tranquilizers to shoot Winnie the Pooh? Yeah, that's a way for mocking Disney. And I believe this subversion, it's pretty solid, but not perfect in any ways. This is too similar to Little Mermaid. In fact, the climax even feels like The Little Mermaid, only it's tame compared to the violent end to that villain Ursula. And now, to bring up turning red's elements, it tries to showcase its concept of when a normal person or a sea creature itself wants to allow their true self as they grow up, like how turning red had with red pandas. RWBY Gillman had sea creatures like turning into big ones when they go underwater. While the story may be unoriginal, as it's about a teenager fitting into a high school, its subversion on mermaids and sea creatures, along with the execution of like the family dynamics I went to point up, they really make this experience somewhat decent. Now, for the animation, before I get into any comparisons, I'd like to bring up something that many of you might not know. This isn't DreamWorks' first time to set an anime film underwater. That would go to their 2004 embarrassment, Shark Tale. Like, where it's mostly product placement and uncanny fish designs. Here, I find their animation to be much better than what they did almost 2 decades ago. Like, for instance, like the colors of the world on top and bottom, starting up top, while it may look like your typical city, there are some round edges on the buildings, along with like the boats that reside around the coast area. I say that the round edges on the environment on top make this visually inviting. But when we get into underwater, or bring up the Little Mermaid again, well, Kingdom is just like almost like King Triton's. The colors of the hues are really popping with all the glows, all that stuff, including with the sea creatures. As for the character designs, now to bring up Turning Red and also Luca, the character designs almost seem very similar to what Pixar's films did, like having a more cartoony style compared to their realistic ones. But aside from similarities, this is the equivalent of bringing those two films on the big screen, since Luca and Turning Red were released on Disney Plus instead of theaters. Personally, I was gonna feel off-putting by the character designs, especially with the humans around Ruby's family. But compared to the Pixar films, I can actually get used to this because unlike Luca's and Turning Red's designs, where mostly it's just their round mouths and round eyes, Ruby Gillman's style make the sea creatures and humans much more expressive with like their looks. And that's something I can really get used to. While it's visually colorful, along with character designs that are much more expressive than the ones I've mentioned before, it really gives the film a unique look and make you feel like you want to go under the sea there instead of Shark Tale. Believe me. Now on to the characters. There's a lot to compare, especially with Turning Red. We'll start with the important ones in the Gilliam family. Ruby might be your typical teenager who just wants to fit in, but the more you understand her feelings compared to Turning Red's meh, she becomes much more sympathetic throughout, as well as her mother Agatha, where unlike Ming, where she's overprotective, she is more caring and understanding of her daughter's feelings, and that's something we can respect. For other characters like Brill, like almost like the black sheep of Gilliam family, while he might be played off as the comic relief, he actually shows our main protagonist what ocean life is like, along with Grandmama, who is also the queen underwater. Like when Agatha tries to hide the truth from her daughter just only to keep her safe and under control, Grandmama tries to teach Ruby what people are thinking of sea creatures and mermaids and how they can feel naive or ignorant about it. Along with a wonderful performance by Jane Fonda, which the only actress I can think of in the cast. She really brings a much more motherly feel to Ruby. And now there's the DreamWorks mockery of Ariel, Chelsea. Well, I can think she might be just the most uninteresting twist film compared to Professor Marmalade and the Bad Guys. I believe being the twist film was kind of the film's point, as DreamWorks mocking Disney. And instead of feeling generic, I believe it's symbolic, And while she not be DreamWorks' greatest film like Shrek's Lord Farquaad, she's kind of entertaining, interesting to see. As for the others, like Ruby's friends, like in school, they really much represent May's friends in Turning Red, but there isn't much to talk about, along with the generic boyfriend, Connor, who's only an interesting boyfriend to Ruby. Also, the other family members like Arthur, Ruby's father, and Sam, little brother, Ruby's little brother, there isn't much to talk about them, as I don't know if they were kind of important to the story or not, at least until the end, but I think they do mean well. Well, the characters have a lot of similarities to Turning Red. Their executions and their subversions really do make this film more engaging than you think it is. This is really conflicting to talk about Ruby Gillman and Teenage Kraken. While the story might be uninteresting and most of the elements like the animation characters are very similar to the Disney and Pixar films, its subversion, family dynamics, and colorful visuals better than Shark Tale, along with the characters' personality, like fleshing out, they really make this film quite interesting. Definitely nothing compared to last year's The Bad Guys or Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, but I say it's pretty solid. And personally, in terms of DreamWorks mocking Disney, I prefer this over B-Movie. Like, while that film has good laughs with mostly Patrick Warburton and some of the slapstick comedy, its concept is kind of ridiculous. But here, I believe the parody concept really intrigued me into this film, and that's quite an accomplishment I can give this film. Also, please support this film as well as Elemental, since they are failing hard at the box office and they do need the attention they deserve. Even their outcomes feel underwhelming, so please do it for them. As for my rating, I'm fairly conflicted. I think I might give this film a 7.5 out of 10 for being an enjoyable film. Wow. Now, there won't be any more animated films until next month, so I hope you stay tuned for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, where we'll have another stylized animated film right next to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and also in between Disney's Wish. And boy, will I have more to talk about in that film. Well, stay tuned.